Yeah.
I was just going to really throw in, look, Hamas is an Islamist organization, and it does represent an important demographic of Palestine, rightly or wrongly. A lot of Palestinians are quite religious. They're going to want some form of religious influence in the government. As for the actions, the asymmetrical warfare, terrorism, call it whatever you want, yeah, most of us, we don't want anything to do with that. But unfortunately, Hamas is an important part of the Palestinian political makeup, just like other groups. Now, ideally it wouldn't be the case, but it is, as Muhammad said, or Iyad said, sorry, due to the failure of negotiations. And so it's something where, like, yes, for example, someone like Joshua said that there's connections to the Muslim Brotherhood, stuff like that. Yeah. But there is more nuance to it. As in, yes, they do A, B, and C. But the thing is, why would people support them?
I said Al-Qaeda, to be clear, not the Muslim Brotherhood. Muslim Brotherhood, too, but they have deep
connections. Muslim Brotherhood.
Well, Hamas is an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood. It is directly an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Definitely.
Can I just jump in for a second? And I mean, I'm sure most people probably know this, but maybe some viewers don't. But there's this sort of attempt to, I feel like, think of Hamas and to a lesser extent Hezbollah, but that's a different topic. Hamas and Al Qaeda and ISIS in the same breath, and like they're really not comparable because, like, you know, I don't support Hamas or anything, but they are like a nationalist movement, and to my understanding, like all of their attacks have either been in Israel or the occupied territories. Whereas Al Qaeda is kind of like all like, you know, like yes, and you know they're Islamists, and I don't agree with Islamism, but you know they have like their own sort of wheelhouse. Whereas Al Qaeda and ISIS are this sort of like global. They want this like global caliphate. So you know I don't know if they're quite like, yes, there's similarities, but it's not they're not. I don't think they're part of the same international terror networks that, you know, has sort of captured a lot of the attention of anti-terror analysts.
I absolutely agree with Tom, and I think it's the only thing that Al Qaeda, ISIS, and Hamas have in common is probably Islam in one vague connection or another. And even like if you look at like if like I said, like I hope we agree that like Hamas is an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood. Even if you look at the history of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, why these things happen, people don't like wake up one time and say, let me pick up a Quran and find the things that make me want to kill people, or like say something like that. That stuff doesn't happen. You find things that already confirm the bias of like, oh, I want to go do some bad things. The people like the founders of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt stemmed from seeing like British people, colonialists on the Suez Canal building nice houses in their own land. And that was basically the history of why Muslim Brotherhood became such an important thing. Like, listen, we gotta gather around our identity, our Arab Muslim identity, and try to drive out this British, try to drive out the British. In the same way, like no one, like Israel doesn't just, like Jews don't wake up one day and say, oh, let me just move to this weird part of the Middle East that we have historical connections to. There has to be some sort of driving force to give people that extra stuff to actually take action and move and do things. So yeah, I hope that gives more clarity.
But isn't there a limit to their actions? I mean, isn't there a limit to what's okay and not okay?
No, absolutely. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and defend like, oh, like rockets for civilians or killing innocent people. Like, not like that goes without saying that. I think that stuff's important and like should not ever be a part of any like legitimate discussion about the topic. But at the same time, it's just that it's important to realize why these things happen and what situation causes these things to happen, if that makes sense.